We are thrilled to be hosting acclaimed sports scientist and the forefather of polarised training, Dr. Stephen Seiler, on an upcoming 2-hour live stream event in July. On July the 18th, Dr. Seiler will present Sustainable Training for Attainable Endurance Goals. The 2-hour live stream will be broken down into 4 sessions. Session 1, Intensity Distribution for Long-Term Performance Development. Session 2, Interval Training, Research and Practical Applications. Session 3, Periodization and Peaking. Session 4, Training Monitoring to support the process. This live stream is ideal for coaches, athletes, health and medical professionals, fitness professionals, and students of the health, exercise, and sports sciences. Tickets are just $49 and include a workbook and a recorded copy of the live stream. To register, simply jump over to pogophysio.com.au/Dr. Seiler livestream.
And I've learned that if you've got a good head and you're motivated to train and you've got a healthy body, then you can achieve 95% of your goals. Hi, it's Jonny Brownlee. I'm Olympic bronze and silver medalist, and you're listening to the Physical Performance Show.
And the winner is...
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go. That's the voice of dual Olympic triathlon medalist Jonny Brownlee, a snippet from part 1 of this 2-part episode featuring the career highs, lows and learnings from one of not just triathlon but world sports' true stars. I'm Brad Beer, sports physiotherapist and exercise scientist by trade and training, and founder of Pogo Physio. Each week, we'll bring you the latest and greatest information and inspiration designed to help you perform at your physical best. We do this across a range of different episodes, expert editions, featured performers, interest editions, and coaches' corners. And on this, part 2 of my conversation with Jonny Brownlee, you'll hear Jonny sharing from his home in Yorkshire whilst riding out the COVID-19 worldwide pandemic, sharing on his many career highs, lows, and learnings. On this episode, part 2, we explore the importance of training and racing mindset, what Jonny has learned around the management of tendon and bone injuries, the importance of strength and conditioning. Jonny shares his top 3 running tips to help you run at your best, and Jonny sets about answering a bunch of questions that came through from you, the supporters of the show, for Jonny. Of course, Jonny survives the physical performance round and also issues a fantastic physical challenge for the week. Here is my conversation with dual Olympic Games triathlon medalist, silver in 2016, bronze in 2012, former World Triathlon Series champion, Jonny Brownlee. Jonny, learnings, so many places we could go with this, but one of the themes from experts on prior editions of the show has been the importance of recovery experts of listening to your body. So what tips and what learnings have you taken from your career around how to listen to your body? When have you gotten it right? When have you gotten it wrong?
I think I've experienced both sides of this. I was very, very fortunate that in my early years, I literally didn't miss any training. In the lead up to 2012, I literally didn't miss a single track session or any training. I was ill for a couple of days and that was about it. And then in my later years, I've obviously had to miss quite a lot of training, alter a few things. So I've learned to listen to my body a lot more. And you've got to be honest to your body. That's my first tip, is you know yourself better than anyone. And I genuinely believe that. And if you think that you've got a niggle and you shouldn't be running because you know that yourself, you've got that instinct over years and years of training, then listen to your body. And I've really struggled with that over the years because I'm a very routine person. And I think that's because my training went so well up to 2012 that it was a Tuesday night I had to be on a track. It's Tuesday night's track session. That's what always happens every Tuesday night. And over the last few years, I've had to be a bit better at that and going, it might be a Tuesday night, but you've got a sore hamstring. So if you don't rest that now, it could turn into a bad thing. You might miss 6 Tuesdays in a row. So I think you really, really got to be honest to yourself, and that's the most important tip. And again, don't try and improve every single session, every single week. I think I got into that in 2015. So that's when I got my stress fracture. So in 2015, I got a femoral stress fracture. I raced the race on the Gold Coast. Was absolutely flying, was the best shape I've ever been in. I had a long year ahead of me, so Olympic qualification still to come. And I came home, and every single week up to that point, my traction had been improving, my power had been improving on the bike, my swimming had been improving. And I came back home to Leeds and wanted that to continue. And that can't continue indefinitely. So to learn that you can't keep improving week in, week out, and there's got to be times when you have track sessions that are equivalent or a little bit slower. And for that, you need someone that you can trust who can help you set that. And with Malcolm and now Mitch, I've had people who know me that it is time to back off, and I got trust that the track session might be easy, and that's a good thing. And I actually think that's where Alistair's been very, very important in my career. It's not necessarily for someone that I can, this has been important, but race against in sessions and can push me on, but also someone that I can use as a yardstick. So without Alistair being there, I turn up on track and go, right, I don't know what time Jake Birtwhistle's running tonight. Maybe I've got to run faster. I don't know what time Vince is running. Maybe I've got to run faster than I'm running tonight because I've got to run faster than them. But with Alistair, it was always having that yardstick to go, Alistair's Olympic champion, Alistair's world champion, so that if he's running around the track at this pace on a Tuesday night, then I can do that as well, because it doesn't matter. So I think without Alistair being there, sometimes I tended to push too hard because I've not had that yardstick to follow, and push too hard at the wrong times because I've always not known what kind of shape I'm in. I've not had the confidence of what shape I'm in.
That's so interesting. It makes me think of Vincent Lewis's sharings when he did share that when he moved over to Joel Filiol's squad, and he had the same revelation when he was surrounded by Mario Mola and multi-world champion, that I don't have to go any harder than Mario.
I actually listened to that and I completely agree with it, and I didn't actually really think about it until this lockdown period when I've done quite a lot of training on my own, because obviously I can't train with Alistair. Not having Alistair there, when I started my track session, started my running sessions, I've always tried to go really hard because I'm like, it's Tuesday night, I've got to go hard, I can't let myself down. And the problem with endurance athletes, or a lot of athletes, is our default is to train hard. So things are going wrong or not as well as you think they're going, so you train hard. You go and hit a hard track session. But that's not always the right thing to do. And I think having Alistair there was definitely another person to show me that you don't always have to go hard. You can, 95% of your training needs to be under that level, and 5% of your training can be that super sessions, if you like, but only 95% of it is just turning up and getting it done.
Turning up and getting it done. And you shared 3 really key insights there, Johnny. Be honest with how your body's feeling. Don't try and improve every single week on week, and have someone you can trust. You mentioned Malcolm and Alistair's input there. Johnny, there's been times, obviously, through any professional athlete's life, injury, and something you've obviously worked through, I believe, on several occasions, is your bone health, bone stress injuries. I've spoken to you, you've shared some of the things that you've learnt and done, but what have you learned about how to manage bone stress injuries and how to prevent them?
Well, firstly, I used to think that bone stress injury was the worst injury in the world, but I've actually learned in the last few years that as far as injuries goes, I actually quite like bone injuries, because tendon injuries are complicated ones. But anyway, that's a different point. I suffered a lot of bone injuries. I had a stress reaction in my femur one year when it snowed a lot in Leeds and we ran on the snow. And I had my worst one, like I said, with a femoral stress fracture. And I've learned a few things from them. I've learned that firstly, nutrition is very, very important. So that involves not being too lean for too long. So in 2015, I got lean from being on the Gold Coast because it was quite hot. And I came home and tried to carry on training with that. and I didn't eat. I just basically didn't eat enough. Didn't restore that bone enough, so it got damaged and then couldn't recover. Also, you definitely need ups and downs of training to stop the bone. You can't just train hard and fast all the time, which I did in 2015. And another big thing for me is learn to sit down. In 2015, I just never sat down. At home, I'd always be cleaning the kitchen floor. I'd be sorting my bed out. I'd be sorting my socks out. I'd be fixing my bike. And I learned that there's times when you had to sit down. And I actually think that was because, in a funny way, I used to play FIFA all the time with housemates. And for some reason, I stopped doing that. And when I used to play FIFA with those guys, it used to be, right, you got to sit down for an hour because you're playing FIFA, and I'd sit down without realising it. So I stopped doing that, and that meant I couldn't sit down. I always had to be doing something. So I actually learned that if you want to restore bone, there's times when doing nothing is a good thing. And over the last couple of years, and probably since then, one thing I've had to do is have a real easy day every week. So on a Friday now, I don't run. I always used to run every day. I used to like to think that you want to keep on moving every day. But definitely as I got older and to keep my bones healthy, I've taken that Friday really, really easy. And I swim and do gym and then have that day off. And then another thing, I also think flexibility and conditioning is important for bone health. So especially for me, because a lot of my bone health has normally bone injuries that come from muscles pulling rather than impact. And so flexibility can obviously come from different ways. It can come from getting strong in the gym, it can come from massage, or it can come from drills and yoga kind of exercises. So I incorporate all that kind of thing.
And nutrition-wise, anything specific that you have adopted to try and best steward your bone health?
Yeah, so I take more note of my weight now to make sure it stays more even. I'm far better of getting recovery shakes, recovery bars down after sessions. So we used to do a track session, used to get showered, then I'd go to a local restaurant with my mates, and by the time you've ordered and got food, it's an hour later. Now I'm far better at getting a recovery shake down me and then cooking a good meal. I've started taking calcium now before runs, so before my long runs, my hard sessions, I'll take a couple of calcium tablets about 60 minutes before. And since I've started doing all those things, I touch wood. I'm going to touch a bit of wood now. Haven't had bone injuries. I've had a couple of tendon injuries, but so far my bones have been strong. So whether it's all those things that I've done, or whether it's age as well, and I've been keeping the training quite stable. And another thing, I guess, for bone health is don't add anything complete different into training. Training load has got to be increased steadily, 10% each week or whatever. But don't add any complete new stimuluses in that are crazy. Bones don't like big changes.
Bones don't like big changes. Jonny, thanks for sharing, because it's certainly endurance athletes, if they're going to get injured, it's going to be bones or tendons, typically maybe a sore joint here or there. So there's some really good teachings there. Thank you. You mentioned strength and conditioning, and I know that's played a really pivotal role in your career. Recently I read there you converted, I think, a spare room at home into a bit of a training studio. What does strength and conditioning look like and mean to Jonny Brownlee?
Yeah, well, so strength and conditioning is something that we've done now for many years, probably 10, 15 years. We started off actually doing it on a Tuesday night after a track session. That didn't work, we were too tired, and now it's become an important part of our week. So I do it on a Monday and a Friday, my easier days. A lot of it starts off with a 10-15 minute flexibility kind of thing. So I do a kind of yoga flow routine into a little bit, warming up the glutes and the hamstrings, and again a bit more flexibility, a bit of jumping and load on the bones then. Single leg hops to load the bones up as a bit of warm up, and then I go into a few different things, which for me are mostly focusing on. I've struggled a little bit with a hamstring tendon problem over the last couple of years, so keeping on top of that. So at this point in time, it's hamstring hold, so laying on your back with your leg out, with a weight on your leg to try and put a bit of tension through that hamstring. And then a bit of glute stuff, so it could be reverse squats or anything like that. Obviously, it's very different at the moment because of Corona or COVID. So it kind of varies, that next section between what works for me to stop me getting injured and what makes me perform better. And I'm a strong believer that for me, the simple side for gym is to keep loose and keep flexible and keep my glutes and my hamstrings firing and strong. And for me, that goes a long way to stop me getting injured. I've not suffered too badly from Achilles or plantar fascia problems, but again, it incorporate a few calf raises and calf holds and that kind of thing, just to stay on top of that, especially as I incorporate this kind of fast running. But with all gym sessions, my main aim is to finish the gym session feeling better than when I started. That's what my gym coach likes at the moment. So whether you're going to the gym feeling a little bit tired or stiff or inflexible, you want to come out of the gym feeling less stiff, more flexible and better. None of our stuff is really, really high, heavy loading, muscle disruption stuff. It's all about feeling better.
So there's still loads, significant loads, but not complete failure loads.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to go to the gym and start throwing around too much weight, but it's all very, very specific to us. Yeah. My gym program is very different to Alistair's, for example. The warm-up bit's very similar, the kind of yoga stuff and the getting the glutes and the hamstrings warmed up, but the actual program is very different. Alistair focuses more on lower limb stuff, whereas I'm more upper limb stuff.
Jonny, you mentioned your hamstring tendon, so any top tips around what you've learned about managing hamstring tendons, or tendons in general? Tendons
have been a big learning curve for me because bones are very much... pain is good feedback with bone, and you get given a program, and normally with a bone, you can get given a program and someone can say, right, it's a stress fracture, whatever, 4 weeks crutches, 4 weeks walking, start a little bit of running, or it's a very 12-week program to get back. Tendons are going ups and downs, and load is good for them to an extent. So my main tip on tendon is, if you can possibly, keep on moving, keep on loading them, but remove things that really, really upset them. So if that is a saddle on your bike, can you find a new saddle? If that's fast running, can you take fast running out and still get as much fitness as possibly can out of just running miles and get your fitness from the pool or the bike? That kind of top end fitness. So they're my main tips. Be patient. Don't think it's going to get better week in, week out. There's going to be ups and downs, and then take out those things that hurt it.
So remove the provocative activities, be patient and be prepared for the ups and downs. Jonny, I think they're great application points for tendon management, so thank you, well done. Jonny, running. Before we throw into a performance round, some rapid fire questions, running, what would Jonny Brownlee's top 3 tips be to help a listener run faster, to explore their running talent potential?
My first tip is join a group. I know that's not great at the moment, but if you can join a group, you get so much out of running with a group. And whether that is, I find it, your motivation-wise, the fact that you can run faster because you're following people, and then even technique-wise, when you're running behind people, you can say, right, I'm going to stay with them, but I'm going to think about technique and get myself as smooth as possible. So run with people, run with a group. They can show you new routes and you can enjoy running more. My second tip is try and vary your running. So don't always run on the road. If you can, run off-road. One, to stop you getting injured. It's one of the things about bone injury to me. If I spend too much time running on the road, I quite often get bone injuries. And also, I think it's good for you. It's good for the head to run off-road. It's good to enjoy running. And then set a goal, I guess, is a very obvious one. And for running in this period, that can be very, very easy. You can find a local route and then try and do it faster every couple of weeks, or set yourself a certain distance. Our coach at the moment, for example, is trying to mix our training up. So every month we're going to do a kind of time trial over 6K. Not do it as fast as you can, but can you do it on different surfaces? Can you find cool routes to do it on, and can you get slightly faster week in, week out? So just set yourself a goal as well. So that's my 3 tips.
Set yourself a goal, vary your running, and join a group. Jonny, you're running in Yorkshire, moorland running. I mean, it almost looks like the quintessential running environment. There's seemingly endless quite steep hills and beautiful countryside, clean air.
We're very, very fortunate in Yorkshire to be able to have amazing off-road running. In the summer, when the weather's good like it is at the moment, I genuinely think there's nowhere better to train. The roads are amazing for cycling, although the world champs this year in Yorkshire was a bit wet, but it's not always like that, I promise you, to everyone who's watching. So, we have amazing running. We can run on the moors, we can run on the canal, so it's a very flat, perfect surface towpath. We've got good tracks, we've got amazing grassy paths, which are the best running in the world, if it's right. The moors can be up and down and hilly. We have footpaths everywhere because, obviously, old English footpaths, and once a footpath's been built, no one's allowed to remove it. Even if you want to build a house there, you've got to divert it around your house or whatever. So footpaths that are absolutely pointless are everywhere. So there is, from my door, for example, there's just endless running. I could run a different route pretty much every single day for the next 2 weeks. So it is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, in wintertime, it can be tough if there's a bit of snow, or the trails can get quite muddy sometimes. So we are very, very fortunate to have great training from here.
And some of that in your earlier days with your cross country, etc., must have given you such a good level of conditioning.
Oh yeah, well I started off cross country running at school, and I think it's very, very important for me, I think, for a few reasons. Firstly, it was fun, and instead of running looking at a watch, looking at what speed you're running, you go to a field and run a cross country race, and no one cares what pace it is. It's just about who can run around that field the fastest. And I think it is also conditioning for you because you're running up and down hills, you're running through mud. It's good for your ankle stability, it's good for your strength because you are getting that aerobic workout, you're getting the strength in your glutes and your ankles without getting that kind of bone damage because you're not hitting the ground too hard. So it's very, very important for you as a young kid.
Yeah, I recall, I think it was either yourself or Alistair used to have a photo on one of your avatars on social media of you running with Muddle. I think it might have been Alistair actually, mud on him and a young little tucker. It was quite cool.
Yeah, that was Alistair. It's from a local fur race. A bunny run, that was called, and it used to take place in the summer, actually, so I don't know why it was so muddy. About Easter time, actually, sorry, on a Tuesday, and you used to go to a local kind of more, 500 people would go, and you used to run around this autumn course, up and down hills, across bogs where people would lose their shoes and then not find their shoes until 15 years later, up the hills, and then everyone would go to the pub afterwards and get given chocolate as prizes because it was Easter time. So you used to do an amazing run and then come home with a car full of chocolate.
The memories, keep it simple.
That's another thing I've actually learned interestingly in this period is how keeping it simple is so important, and how 95% of getting to an elite level or achieving your goal, whatever it is just simple training. And I've had to really simplify it in this COVID period because I haven't had access to the fancy gyms. I haven't had access to the running tracks. I haven't had access. Initially, we had to do all our training from home. So I had to run my sessions in my local forest, which was initially I thought was really good for easy running, but not so good for fast running. But I've just been keeping it unbelievably simple and just doing this simple training, endurance training, getting out and getting it done. And I've learned that if you've got a good head and you're motivated to train and you've got a healthy body, then you can achieve 95% of your goals.
Yeah, well, it actually makes me think of my recent experience in Ethiopia where there's very little distractions and it's just a simple, pure existence of, train, eat, relax.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go out to Ethiopia to see it. Alistair's been, and he says it's absolutely amazing. It's one of my dreams is actually to go out and really experience that. And like you say, I bet what they do 95% of the time is just a good environment of people, and they've obviously got good bodies, and go out and train and just get it done, and that gets you very, very far.
You're listening to Jonny Brownlee, dual Olympic Games triathlon medalist, former World Triathlon Series champion, sharing on his career highs, lows, and learnings. Support for today's show comes from Kinesis Sunscreen. Kinesis is a range of sports performance sunscreens for your active lifestyle. Everything about the Kinesis sunscreen range, from the ergonomic bottle to the ingredients they include and leave out of their formulas, have been developed specifically for athletes. Different to any sunscreen you've tried, and so light you won't feel like you're wearing it, Kinesis sunscreen is super easy to apply, won't affect your grip or sting your eyes. Kinesis can be bought through select retail partners in Canada, the USA and Australia, or online through their regional websites. Simply search Kinesis Active, that's KINESYS Active, and be sure to use the coupon code POGO, P-O-G-O, to receive 20% off the entire range of spray and natural zinc sunscreens. Enjoy staying active while staying sun protected with Kinesis sunscreen. Support for today's show also comes from Pogo Physio's online physiotherapy consultations. If you are a triathlete or runner looking to get back to your physical best following injury, then you can receive help from myself or the team of physiotherapists at Pogo through our 45-minute online telehealth consultations. They're remarkably effective and can be booked online by jumping over to pogophysio.com.au/telehealth. For now, let's jump back with this part 2 of a 2-part featured performer episode featuring dual Olympic Games medalist Jonny Brownlee. Jonny Brownlee, are you ready for a session you can chalk up the performance round? Rapid fire questions.
Yeah, go for it, definitely.
Training session you most love?
Tuesday night track session.
Training session you most dislike?
Tuesday morning swim session. It's really hard.
What's in those sessions sometimes?
So the track session could be anywhere between 4 and 6k of work, kind of split up on the track. I prefer the longer stuff because I train with a group that are a bit faster than me, so they're better sprinters. And the Tuesday morning swim session is normally something like 3x5 100s, as hard as you can go. So obviously you end up feeling a bit sick, and it's really, really hard. And you also know that the Tuesday night track sessions to come later on.
Yeah. Favourite pre-race meal?
I used to like pizza, and since Cozumel actually that changed to chicken and rice. I like to keep my stomach's got a little bit more sensitive, so chicken and rice now. You
mean post Cozumel, like you're actually more sensitive to what you eat before you race?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's actually a physiological change, that, because I actually got a lot of testing done after Cozumel. I went down to the army in Portsmouth, the British Army, and we did some real good tests on me, and they found there's no long-term damage from what they could see. But so I don't know if it's actually my stomach got more sensitive, or just after obviously the process of going through it all to stop it happening again, we flagged up a few things that I could improve on, and one of them was keep my pre-race meal very, very simple.
So interesting. Bedtime, morning time, Jonny, what's that typically look like for you?
Well, morning time normally is I get up and go swimming. We try and swim not before 8 o'clock if possible, but so I know I get up, have a cup of Yorkshire tea, have a couple of slices of toast, get my bircher muesli from the fridge, then take it to swimming, go swimming, and then swim, and then have a bircher muesli before I go running or something. Bedtime.
The Yorkshire tea, eh?
Yeah, Yorkshire tea. You can't get up without a good brew. Definitely not. I'm not the same. And then evening time can involve watching a bit of Netflix, having a nice dinner, and then before I go to bed, I always have a nice Yorkshire tea bedtime brew this time. They do different brews for different times of the day, so a nice bedtime brew, and then go to bed.
Who's the athlete Jonny Brownlee most admires and why?
I've got to say, Alistair, don't I really? And I think he inspired me from very, very young, and I think that's for a couple of reasons. One, because he is who he is, and he trains incredibly hard, and I still believe he's the hardest athlete to beat because you have to be better than him to beat him. He's so tough. And secondly, inspiration's stronger when it's closer to home. And when I had my brother coming home with his kit for the first time, going to the Olympics, it made me believe I could do that. So he inspired me absolutely massively.
Toughest competitor you've ever raced against, who and why?
Well, again, apart from Alistair, because I can't say him again, Gomez. I think Javier Gomez is incredibly tough. Obviously, I raced against him head-to-head pretty much for 5-6 years, and that's one of the best races I've ever been in. And with him, you always knew he was going to be part of the race because you always knew he's a good swimmer, so he's always going to be there. You always knew he's going to be equal with you on the bike, and then you always knew that on the run he'd be hard to beat because he's a diesel engine. He'd never give up.
Here we go. Here's the sprint from Jonny Brownlee, and can Gomez go with him? He is making a move. You cannot believe this race. Guys on the other side of the road. Athletes are stopping to cheer. Look at that. Unbelievable. Jonny Brownlee on his toes. Javier Gomez is not letting him away. This thing is not over. This is not over. Javier Gomez is not letting him get away. We're going to see one more push. Did Johnny go too early? And it's going to be onto the blue carpet. And who's got the last gear? This is the greatest world championships we have ever seen. Jonny Brownlee, Javier Gomez, 100 meters to go. They're side by side coming down. Yeah, look at them coming through. Gomez, Brownlee, Gomez, Brownlee. This could be like the Olympic Games. Unbelievable. And Gomez takes it. Unbelievable.
There's been a few of those races when I've had a 5-second lead on him and it's just stayed at 5 seconds and I've just said, come on, Javier, please just give up. And it's gone 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. And I've gone, please. So he's incredible. He just never knows when to give up.
Yeah, you've had a few derbies for sure. Johnny, is there a mantra that you would routinely use when you're racing or training? Some regular self-talk?
I've told, when I'm racing, I tell myself that you can always go harder than you think. Well, I believe that probably until Cozumel. I believe you can always got more in you than you think. And in training sessions, I'm always like, you can always go harder. You think it's hurting, but it's going to stop hurting soon. And my other mantra when I'm racing is, if I'm hurting, then the guy next to me must be hurting as well.
Best recovery tip, Johnny?
My best recovery tip is get some nutrition down you, hopefully a protein drink or a protein bar within that 20-minute window. So after the session, get it down you straight away, definitely. It makes a big, big difference. And then secondly, like I learned, my stress fracture is don't be afraid to sit down.
Yeah, powerful. One word to describe your racing style.
Consistent.
How would you, Johnny, describe being in the zone?
That's a really, really tough one to answer. And I probably can't describe it, but I can tell you before races when I know I'm in the zone. And there's those races when I, like the year in Gold Coast, go back to it, I went down, I was ultra confident. I knew, I guess for me, it's been on the start line, knowing that I've done everything right beforehand and knowing that if someone beats me that day, they're better than me and there's nothing I can do. And that for me means being in the zone. When I'm on the start line, I'm literally like, if you beat me, I'll shake your hand and say, fair play.
And when was the last time you were in that zone, Johnny?
Good question. It's been a while. The last World Series that I won was obviously Edmonton last year. And even then, I don't think I was in that zone. I think I was a bit underconfident again of my performances because I hadn't had the best couple of years. So we're probably going back to the Olympics, really. I'd say Edmonton after the Olympics. So the Edmonton race post-Olympics when I was training really well for the Olympics and then had taken a bit of rest. And I was in Edmonton going, okay, I'm really fit here. Been at altitude. I'm rested and recovered. So bring it on.
Johnny, fun question to get you out of the performance round. The hardest session you've ever done?
I still think the hardest sessions I do are the Thursday evening chain gangs. So with cycling, it's awful because obviously you got someone next to you. We go to a local chain gang on a Thursday. It starts at 6:30. Somewhere between 50 people, 20 and 50 people can meet. Anyone from my brother, Tom Pidcock, who was a medalist at the World Cyclocross Champs this year, unbelievable athlete, to the local gardener, turn up. People come back from work, and the strongest of them all is a local gardener who turns up and just makes you suffer. And it finishes up a hill, and I've never been through so much pain going, there's no way that the local gardener is dropping me up this climb. So it gives you motivation to stay on his wheel and take yourself through more pain than you can ever imagine. And then it finishes and we go for a run. We put our bikes outside the road. My coach is there and we go for a run afterwards. And everyone else goes home while we go for a run around the streets.
Sounds like some hidden talent, that local gardener.
That's one of the amazing things about here is the unbelievable hidden talent. The people you come across in Yorkshire, Tom Pidcock, who I talked about then, who I'd ridden with since he was about 10 years old. He started off as the little kid who's come on the ride, he used to be a little bit annoying, to now being competing at soon to be world tour level, but competing against Van der Poel and those guys in the cyclocross. To the local gardener who just finishes his shift in the garden and comes out and then knocks my head in on the local chain gang. And that's what I love about sport is it doesn't matter who you are, shapes or sizes, what your profession is. Once you start riding that bike, once chain gang starts, doesn't matter who you are, they're going to try and beat you.
Yeah, there's nothing like people on wheels to try and assert their authority. Jonny, every guest of the show issues listeners with a physical challenge for the week. What's Jonny Brownlee's physical challenge for the week going to be?
Well, my physical challenge was going to be my favourite track session. I know no one can do any track sessions at the moment, but it was going to be the 800, 500, 3 times with 800 metre at the end, with a 100 metre recovery after the 800 and then 200 metre recovery after 500. But because we're in this kind of weird COVID period, not many people got access to track. So I think my challenge is going to be, when we're all out of this, just go for a bike ride and stop at your local cafe. It's a simple one, but and it's important to me because one thing I've missed throughout this whole period is being able to stop at my local cafes, and it's taught me I really, really enjoy that. It's an important part of my bike ride. And whenever I ride over 80 kilometres, I pretty much always stop. And I love stopping in the local dales and put your bike on the wall and go and get a nice cup of tea and a nice bacon sandwich. So that's going to be my tip. And especially it's important here in Yorkshire because lots of the cafes are struggling at the moment because they've not had the normal people dropping in. So my session is to just, when this is all over, go out on your bike and go to your local cafe and treat yourself to a nice brew and a cake.
Yeah, wow, that's really a great physical challenge, Jonny, and there's certainly some great examples of yourself and Alistair doing that on Brownlee TV, walking into some pretty cool little cafes over there, as you say, in the Dales. Jonny, if you could boil everything you've learnt through your extensive and ongoing career to date into one single piece of advice to help listeners of this show perform at their own physical best, what would Jonny Brownlee's solitary piece of advice be?
I guess from living with Alistair and seeing him, I think my advice would don't compare yourself to others. So that involves training sessions. So do what's right for you and not what's right for other people. So that can be honest with yourself. That can include as well being honest with yourself. So if you've got a niggle and you shouldn't go out for a run, but someone else is going out for a run, then don't do it. Do what's right for yourself and not compare yourself to others. Again, that can include every day in training. So someone can, and especially in this world now, when you've got social media, you can see what other people are doing. You can go on Strava and see other people's sessions. Don't compare yourself to them. Be your best that you can be in day in, day out. And if that's a good session for you, it's an improvement from last week, or it's just a good session, doesn't matter. It's a session that someone set you, then do it. Don't be worried about what other people are doing.
Wow, there's so much maturity and wisdom in that, Jonny. Don't compare yourself to others. It's a good mantra outside of sport too, for life in general.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's very, very difficult in these times now with you can go on your phone and you can look at social media and compare yourself, and it looks like everyone's doing good training the whole time. No one ever puts bad training sessions on their Instagram, do they? You don't very often see someone going, I pulled out my track session today after a kilometre because I didn't feel like it. So my view of that is do what's right for you, and that involves the world as well. Again, you see people on lovely holidays and fancy meals. Well, normally lovely holidays and fancy meals, and in reality, that's probably not their life all the time. So you do what's right for you, and if that's whatever it is, just that it doesn't matter as long as it's right for you.
Yeah, well said. Jonny, a few listener questions came through, and if we can sneak a few of these in. Someone did ask and mention, please ask Jonny the personality question, which is 3 people at a dinner table, living or past, who would be at Jonny Brownlee's table and why? A bit of a fun one, insight into your personality.
I'm a very sporty person, so I'd have Ronnie O'Sullivan, the Rocket. He's a snooker player, and he also runs. I don't know if you've heard of Ronnie O'Sullivan. Massive character, absolute legend. Well, look him up. He's just such a character. So he's won the World Snooker Championships lots of times. So Ronnie O'Sullivan. I'm a Leeds United fan. So Patrick Bamford, again, you've probably not heard of him, but he's a Leeds United striker at the moment and seems really interested. And again, I'm a history student. So and I studied the Tudors. So I probably have Richard III, actually, just before the Tudors. So he's a Yorkshire king. So Richard III, Ronnie O'Sullivan and Patrick Bamford. Very, very interesting. We'll have Ronnie O'Sullivan there, be talking snooker and doing his usual stuff. Patrick Bamford will be talking Leeds United about whether they get promoted or not. And Richard III will be talking about how he's going to rule the country.
Well, that's quite an eclectic mix, but it's very British, right?
Very, very British, yeah.
Fantastic. Johnny, Dad Who Tries on Instagram commented, very excited for this to come out. The Brownlee brothers are a huge influence of mine. I have a couple of questions. How does Johnny cope with injury? How does Johnny view his racing future, short course or long course? So maybe we jump into the racing future, Johnny.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, the injury one first actually is interesting because I've coped with that in different ways. I've coped with that initially my stress fracture. I took myself away from the group. I very much said they were preparing for the Olympic test event in Rio, and I just went home and went on holiday with my parents. And that was one way of doing it. Whereas when I've had my other injuries, I've actually been integrated in the group more. So it kind of varies of what I do there. But the second one was long distance future. My original plan was to race the Tokyo Olympics and then carry on Olympic distance racing for that season, and then probably go into 70.3 racing, and then a couple of years later, if that was going well, go into longer distance Ironman. But that's all been delayed now by a year. So that's still the plan, is post Tokyo 2021 to then go into 70.3 racing. And I think I'll be ready for a challenge then and a new kind of experience. And I think that'll be perfect then. You know, I've seen Alistair do it, and it looks good fun. It looks like a new exciting challenge, and so that's what I'll be doing.
Fantastic. And Vicky Baroness 3000, who's a British big fan of yours, asks, are there any races on the bucket list for Johnny?
Yeah, definitely. Kona is definitely on the bucket list, and I'm still not sure if watching Alistair and Kona, maybe want to do Kona more or less. I think probably less because it looked awful, but growing up watching triathlon, you've got to do Kona. And then I don't know any kind of certain races, but I've really wanted to do some of these challenge races or long distance running races. And one of the things about doing sport at elite level is it actually stops you doing the kind of crazy races that you would want to do. That might be the local fell race, which obviously involves running up and down a massive hill, and I can't do that normally because I'd have sore legs for a week afterwards. Or doing the local kind of marathon, or a marathon on this side of the world, a trail marathon. So I think that kind of thing I'd love to do in the future.
Yeah, wow. So we might see you doing a few crazy things at some point. You've got plenty of athletic years ahead. We've just featured Cam Brown, who will be racing professionally at 50, Johnny. So you've got another 2 decades. It's
absolutely amazing that. If I'm racing professionally at that age, I'll be over the moon.
well, let's see that happen. Johnny, a question came through anonymously here. Outside of God's country, Yorkshire, so maybe it's a Yorkshire man or woman. What's your favourite training destination?
I really like St Moritz in Switzerland. Place where I've been before my 2 Olympic Games, and it's in the Swiss mountain hills at altitude. The air's amazingly clean, the forest's amazing, the running trails go on forever. It's a bit expensive for a Yorkshireman, but it's absolutely amazing place. I think St Moritz in Switzerland.
Yeah, beautiful.
We also like going back to Spain. So we have a house in Spain on the Costa Blanca. So that's a couple of hours flight from here, and I love going there because it's like a home from home, and the riding in the hills are absolutely amazing. So St Moritz or the Costa Blanca in Spain.
So when the restrictions eventually pass, we might see you there again. Johnny, Zane Robertson, fellow featured performer of the show, actually asked, if Johnny was going to be a boss in any other sport, what would it be?
Well, I'd love to be able to run at his level. But obviously I'm not quite good enough to do that, and what they do is absolutely incredible. I think the closest I could get of the free sports to competing at elite level, swimming I've not got a lot of chance. I'm not good enough, I'm not big enough, I'm not strong enough, but cycling, I think if it involved going up and down mountains, I think I could be the closest in all 3 at that. Just because I've got an aerobic engine that's been built up over years and years of endurance training. So I'd absolutely love to do the Tour de France one year and be able to compete at those mountains.
Wow. And I mean, you've spent time training with Team Sky, right, in Mallorca?
Yeah, I did, in 2014. December 2013, they asked us to go out to train in Mallorca with them, just a training camp. Not like a trial or anything, just to see. And we actually went up the Sacalobra in Mallorca, which is a famous climb up there. And I think on that day, I actually set the fastest time. None of the big hitters were there. And it's still a long way behind, obviously, Froome and Wiggins' time. But I was the fastest guy on that day and actually dropped Alistair. So I was very, very pleased with that. But yeah, I remember going to the Sacalobra with Tim Kirsten behind me in a team car. So that was my experience of Pro Tour racing. And they were absolutely amazing. They were amazing to us. They were really good at us joining in and doing anything. And at the time, I was actually trying to swim and run a little bit around it, and they just thought we were absolutely crazy. They didn't understand why anyone would want to get up early in the morning and do any training before going out a ride at 10.
And, you rode all day. All day, I remember you mentioning it was just get on the bike and let's ride. Yeah, all day. One of the rides we did was about 200 kilometres, which is basically all day. And it was a different experience for me because normally a ride for us might involve me and Alistair sitting down with a few friends, looking at a map, choosing a route. But with the Team Sky, it was very much just a car would be in front of you and tell you when to turn right or left, and you didn't know where you're going. If I went back to Mallorca now, I wouldn't be able to tell you any direction I went in or any route because I just followed them and followed the team car. So that was a very different experience to us, and I'm not quite sure I could do that all the time. I like to kind of know where I'm going and have a bit more ownership over my training. Jonny, final listener question here, a specific one from Sergine Alexander. Is there any recommendation from Jonny on how to combine cycling and running sessions in the most efficient manner? Well, that's one of the challenges of triathlon. And my philosophy on all the kind of training overall is you choose what hard sessions you want to do in a week. So if we go cycling and running, I do a hard bike on a Thursday, and then a hard run on a Saturday morning and a Tuesday night. So they're your kind of protected sessions, and then you get as much aerobic sessions training as you can done around it as possible. So, but as soon as you're getting tired for those sessions, you have to reduce your hours. So my tip for bike and run is to separate those sessions as much as you can. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is a good idea. And just make sure the quality stays in those sessions. Oh, so practical. Jonny, final two questions here. What mistakes is Jonny Brownlee afraid of making? What mistakes are you afraid of making in your career? I guess afraid of would be someone who didn't give it their all. That's the one. I don't think that's the case, but I would be really upset if I finished my career and then I could have given it more there, or in that race, or in that training session, or I didn't prepare as well as I could have done for the Olympics. So that's the biggest one I'm scared of. And then again, not learning from my mistakes. I'd be really upset if I was someone who kept making the same mistakes time and time again. And I think I've actually learned more in the last couple of years through injuries and getting older than I have in my entire career. So more about how rest is important, more about looking after myself and not seeing what others are doing and trying to copy. Definitely those two things. Not giving my all and not learning from my mistakes. Jonny, finish the sentence. The most important thing in life is? To have a healthy body and to enjoy what you're doing. Jonny Brownlee, you've been so generous with your time and sharing your highs, lows and learnings. So thank you. And thanks for the contribution to not just the world of triathlon, but sport in general through, all you've achieved to date. And the book's not finished yet. No, thank you very much. Hopefully everyone's staying safe, and hopefully we can all get back to, firstly training, obviously, and staying healthy, and then get back to racing at some point. We don't know when that's going to be in, but thank you very much. I'll try my best. And Jonny, there's lots of places people can find you, social media. I should shout out to your little puppy dog there, Barnstagram. If people want to follow your dog's journey, are they welcome to? Yeah. Well, it's actually my girlfriend's dog. I better put that in, otherwise she'll tell me off. But he's here now. He's been very well behaved. He was a bit barky earlier, but he's since been on his bed. He's probably ready for going out for a wee now. But yeah, Barnstagram. We're trying to make him a famous dog. He actually got his first sponsor the other day. He got someone contacted him asking if he wanted some food, so he's got his first sponsor. He's following in the footsteps of the household. And the Brownlee Foundation, where can people go to find out about the great work you do there? Yeah, well, the Brownlee Foundation is absolutely amazing, and it's something that we started in 2014. It was legacy
an inspiration was something that was talked about a lot after London 2012. And we thought, how can we really do that? So we started in 2014, and since then we've had 30,000 kids who have done a triathlon for the first time. So we're basically, the Brownlee Foundation's got its own Twitter and its website, and it's all funded through donations and dinners and auctions and sponsors. And although it's had to take a back step because of the COVID crisis, because obviously we can't be putting on events, next year we'll be coming back bigger and better, and hopefully having more events. And so one thing we do is we have seven or eight events during the year all around the country where kids can come and do a triathlon in their school hours. We have about 1,000 kids every event, if not more. And then we put on follow-up sessions afterwards, so kids can go to York or to Leeds on the Brownlee Centre circuit and do triathlon centre throughout the year. It's triathlon training throughout the year. So it's absolutely amazing, and it's I absolutely love doing it, and it's something that when I retire, I want to grow more, to have hopefully 20 events and 20,000 kids every year doing a triathlon. But it's like anything in these times, it's got to be paid for, and so funding is very, very important. So, but it is absolutely amazing.
And you use that word legacy, and obviously that's part of what you want your legacy to be. Yeah,
definitely. Well, my legacy, I think, would be if someone could say Jonny Brownlee tried the hardest, got the most out of themselves, and inspired lots of kids to do a triathlon, and all stay healthy. It's not just about doing a triathlon, it's about staying healthy. And some of the stories we've had from the foundation have honestly been absolutely incredible. We've had kids who never believed in a million years they could do a triathlon, and have done, it's only a mini triathlon, it's not competitive, but have done it. And I think that sets them up so well in life, the fact that they can not believe they can do something, they can achieve something, and then they can go, I can do that. So in future, even if they don't take that into sport, they take that into other forms of life and go, as long as I try hard, I can achieve something, and that's very, very important. And that's all I want for the foundation, to get kids trying to do something and hopefully achieving it, and then going on from there. Exactly. We get all sorts of kids doing it from all sorts of backgrounds, and every kid who finishes it gets a medal, gets a bag, and becomes a triathlete. And it's amazing to see their face, one, when they finish, when they're super happy, and second, when they get a little goodie bag, because some of these kids, get given a goodie bag and they get told, "Oh, it's not mine." They say, "It's not mine, it's not mine," and they're like, "No, you finished your triathlete, you get a medal, you get a goodie bag, it is yours." And they're like, "No, it's not mine." They're like, "No, you've earned it," and it's absolutely amazing. So hopefully the future we can continue this.
Jonny Brownlee, great contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So there you have it. We know that Jonny is a history maker, and he's the first featured performer of the show to be split across part 1 and part 2. I trust and I know you enjoyed Jonny's sharings of his highs, lows, and learnings. If you're not yet already following Jonny, then jump over and follow Jonny on social at Jonny Brownlee Try. Do let Jonny know what it was that you enjoyed or learnt from his sharings. Also be sure to check out the fantastic work of the Brownlee Foundation. You can find the Brownlee Foundation over on Instagram at Brownlee Foundation. Oh, and if you have an interest in following Jonny's furry friend, his pet Cavapoo Barney, who made a cameo appearance on part 1, you can follow Barney over at Barnstagram on Instagram. Be sure to keep the podsies coming. That's a screenshot of the episode you are enjoying and tagging in the show at Physical Performance Show. I'm on social at Brad_beer. Massive thanks to those who are leaving ratings and reviews on iTunes. If you've been enjoying more than 4 episodes of the show, then please jump over and let us know what you enjoy about the show. Of course, if you know someone in your world, a training buddy, who would enjoy the sharings of Jonny Brownlee, then more than anything, it means the world when these episodes are shared. A massive thanks, as always, to the 3 very good folk who make this show possible week in and week out. Daryl Misson, our audio engineer, Susan Wilkin on all things show administration, and Matthew Walding on all things show graphic design. Another huge shout out and thank you to today's show sponsor, Kinesis Sunscreen. Podcasts are free to download, however, they are not free to produce, and Kinesis Sunscreen support truly makes the show possible. If you're looking for a great performance active sunscreen, you cannot go past Kinesis Sunscreen. It's a sunscreen that I personally use, and it is a terrific product. Don't forget the coupon code POGO for 20% off their performance sunscreen range. Now, coming up on next week's episode of the Physical Performance Show, we keep the triathlon theme going, and I'll share with you a conversation I recently had with Training Peaks co-founder, author of the best-selling Cyclist Training Bible, Triathletes Training Bible, and 16 other books, the one and only Joe Friel. It's an episode not to be missed, and following Joe Friel, we jump back over to a featured performer episode featuring Australian swimming superstar Michael Klim. So until next week, keep pursuing your physical best performance. I'm Brad Beer, and this has been the Physical Performance Show.